Hello, Teak Tigers. Today's math warm-up is another Nested Splat series, and this time it's going through the number 20. This once again comes to us from Steve Wyborney and his website. Remember, this activity you don't need a piece of paper and a pencil, but you might want to go get a little brother or sister to do this with you so that you can share your thinking with each other. If not, you can just kind of do it out loud to yourself. Kind of review the activity. We're going to be finding the number of dots under a large splat, and then we'll find the number of dots under the smaller splat. So let's go through our first one and remind ourselves how it works. How many blue dots do you see? There are 15 dots. Splat. How many dots are under the splat? How do you know? How else could you know? Challenge yourself to explain it in another way. I know that there are 11 dots under the big splat because there's 4 out here, and 15 minus 4 would give me 11. So let's look under the big splat to see how many dots are there. Look, there's another splat. We know there are 11 dots under the large splat, so how many dots are under the small splat? And how do you know? How else could you know? Explain it another way. I think there are 6 dots under here because I know there's 11 under the big one and I see 5 here, and I know 5 plus 6 gives me 11. I also know that this 5 plus the 4 out here is 9, and I know 15 minus 9 is 6. So those are 2 different reasons why there are 6 underneath this splat. And let's look under the small splat to see how many are there. And I was right, there are 6 dots. Did you guys get it right? Let's move on to another one. How many blue dots do you see? There are 14 blue dots. Splat. How many dots are under the splat, and how do you know? How else could you know? Let's look under the splat to see how many dots are there. We see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dots under the big splat. So how many dots are under the small splat? And how do you know? How else could you know? You got your answer? Now let's look under the small splat to see how many dots are there. There were 4 dots under that small splat. Okay, let's do one more together. How many blue dots do you see here? There are 19 blue dots. Splat. How many dots are under the splat, and how do you know? How else could you know how many dots are under the splat? Now let's look under that big splat to see how many dots are there. Ooh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 dots here. How many dots are under the small splat, and how do you know? Now, how else do you know? Challenge yourself to explain it another way. Okay, now let's look under the small splat to see how many dots are there. Did you get 4? I hope so. Okay, that's the end of today's warm-up. Again, this comes from Steve Wyborney and his website. And have a great day, Tigers!